to GMLS in a nutshell. GMLS, or Geomagnetic Line System, is the study of standing waves of geomagnetic energy, or prana, or key energy if you like, that runs across our Earth, that you can see on the map before us. I dowsed these lines back in probably 2002, 2003 to be honest. The reason I started dowsing these lines, because as a healer I wanted to understand where the energy was coming from that I was using, and I knew about ley lines and terralic lines and things like that, and didn't quite give me what I was looking for. I was looking for the prana basically. And the idea of prana is that there is one universal rhythm that is conveyed to the earth through the sun, and then there was also the geomagnetic lines that convey it to us. So I started dowsing these lines that you can see before you. Now you have the female lines, or the yang lines, that go from, the yin line goes from the east to the west in a directional flow, and then you have the broken lines that go from west to east. This matrix or geomagnetic line system that we have before you then creates concentrations of crossing points across our globe. It is our connection to the prana, and understanding these lines actually can help us to understand earthquakes. It can understand how the world is formed, but also how people act and are. Now let me just take you through the process of how these lines are formed. We are actually in the third dimension as regards to a planetary system. Therefore we have 3 lines for the southern hemisphere and 3 lines for the northern hemisphere. These keep our position in accordance to the sun, stop us flying out all over the place. It's a little bit what gravity is all about. But these connections to the sun are affected directly by the solar activity. So there is various ways in which the energy comes from the sun. There is obviously light, heat, etc. But there is also the various types of winds, which has a greater influence on our Earth. The first type of solar wind that we will be concerned about is solar flaring. Now this is where sunspots that can be magnetically charged, positive and negative, start mixing and create what is equivalent of a short circuit spark that will send and eject out plasma and energy and vibrations towards us there. It depends if they're earth facing or if they're on the back side of the sun. It depends on how it will affect us. It also depends on how the earth is facing the sun at that given time. Now direct hits can affect the earth in many ways. They can create earthquakes. They can also affect our weather and volcanic activities. The next solar wind that we'll be looking at is the coronal holes. Now this is a much denser wave of energy. It is almost like too much of the constant that comes out of the sun, and it can either be positive or negative depending on the solar fields at that particular time. And because their passage is usually over 2 or 3 days, we get seismic activity at the beginning, at the end, as it's compressing these geomagnetic lines that go right through the system, right to the center of our Earth. Third but not least is the filament eruptions of the sun. I would describe these as immature elements, almost like the stem cells that we have in our wisdom teeth, but also in the umbilical cord. In this video above you can see the planetary creation by the sun, which I go into detail in the book Flying Spaceship Earth, which should be ready available pretty soon. The thing that I find most interesting though is the constant. This gives our constant standing waves. That is the GMLS system. And the moment energies are produced from without or within the system, it affects these lines. So it's not just a one-way street, it's actually give and take. But the real joke about the constant is the fact that it is not really constant. If we look over a longer period of time, we will notice things such as the Maunder minimum, but also things like pole shift. And this is one of the most beautiful parts of being alive today. It is that interaction, that ebb and flow of the system that must mean that we have some form of effect on it. And I'm not just talking about pollution, I'm talking about physical pole shift effect. Don't get me wrong, I'm no King Canute, but I do believe we have a responsibility which plays in the outcome of everything around us. As in 2008, NASA confirmed our Earth's magnetic connection to the Sun. That is to say that our Earth is connected via portals permanently to the Sun. We are exactly the same model. We have a shackle system, whereas the lines cross in certain parts of our body. We also have our aura, our magnetic field. And through this shackle system, the magnetic field, we can start to feel the activity of the Sun directly through us. This is not a new concept. This concept is well known to us through all types of religions and philosophies. But through the GMLS system, we can start to understand certain aspects of not only the human, but also our solar system that are actually ordinary, everyday events. Explainable human behaviour, collective and also individual. The more we understand our connection to this GMLS system, the more we will understand our connection to the solar system, the universal energies that is one with us. For the moment we are one with the universal energy, it helps us to understand a lot of other things in the world. It is our connection to the collective library, the understanding of everything. The moment we do this, not only technology but also personal understanding between each other, cultures, collective and individual, will be able to stand together under the one umbrella of consciousness. And this consciousness is not necessarily just our own. We have to abide by certain rules and regulations that are not written but are understood. For example, I think the majority of people in the world understand the fact that we shouldn't kill for killing's sake. If we can understand this collectively and we can get it together, the universe could be our garden.